Show us how you did that.
All right. Welcome to another episode of the Freedom Tour podcast, coming to you live from the Real Talk Studios. To my left is a big... To my left is Eddie, the plan, the pool, the man himself, the genius.
Can I at least throw up a deuce?
You can. To my right is that red boot wearing, big collar flaring, Rocky G.
Business is about to pick up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you're listening to the smooth voice of the Dub Man, riding on the Freedom Tour.
The rabbi who must praise himself has a congregation of one.
Yes, the man of God. The man of God.
Double E's. Did you bring your towel?
No, I didn't. I'll talk about that in a second for sure. So how is everybody doing in this place?
On a midnight train to Georgia.
Yeah, that's about right.
Just got here.
Midnight train back from Kentucky, right? Yeah.
From the Bowling Green.
How
Absolutely.
are you doing?
I'm good. We just got done with student camp, and it was crazy.
You do that every year, pretty much now, correct?
Yeah.
How
we do it
many
every
do they
year.
usually have show up? Kind of what do they do
They
there?
had like
What's it about?
185 this year.
Wow.
And so it's basically at our church, we've got two campuses. And so like we have the Strong Tower students.
Mm-hmm.
And basically each year around this time, it's pretty much about the same month for the past 4 years.
That's what I was saying. You've done it.
Same
for a
time
bit.
for the
Yeah.
past 4 years. We end up going to camp. And and it's just an awesome experience.
Now, is your camp affiliated with someone else, or is it something that you just put together independently?
No, it's not it's just Strong Tower, but essentially it's done at what they call it's a campground up in Kentucky, Fountain Run, Barefoot Republic.
Yeah.
So
Never heard of it.
yeah, this year was a little different, just because we had typically we have a drummer. And that's part of the student, but he's, on vacation and kind of getting ready for college and all that stuff.
He's highbrowing you.
Yeah. So
I'm a college man now.
yeah. So basically I had to play drums for a couple services. And then for the big service that we do on Monday night, I ended up flying down to pick up my brother.
Oh,
wow. In Murfreesboro.
That's cool, yeah.
So
Your brother's good. He's really good. How's he doing? Is he doing pretty good?
Yeah, he's doing
Good
great.
deal. He's a phenomenal drummer.
I love that.
Yeah.
That humble brag. I had to fly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna lie.
That's where the plane comes in there, in case y'all didn't know that. Yeah.
Well, I did it because Fountain Run all the way down to where he's at in Murfreesboro is like 2 hours just to get there.
Yeah.
And so I was going to provide the transportation. And so it was like 2 hours there, 2 hours back. And then when we were done that night, I was going to have to do 2 hours
again,
there and 2
yeah.
hours
Well,
back.
wait a
Yeah.
minute.
No.
Wait
Wow.
a minute. So we didn't record last week, our typical week, because we were at camp meeting.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what we're getting.
And so why did we drive to camp meeting when we had
You're
a pilot in our
very right.
midst?
You're very right. Every day. Just land
Hold on,
us
is it
right
still-
there at Westmore Church of God in the parking lot right there in that strip on the left. Yeah,
Hold on. Is it still the weight requirement? Are we?
We're above it.
Oh, well, crap.
Yeah.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he could fly and fly and fly and fly, and maybe one of us. Or like we'll just roll dice and be like, Tuesdays, Donnie, Dubman gets Tuesday. Yeah.
I think if one of us sat on each side of the plane, though, it would be fairly balanced.
I think if we both got in there, it would be freedom from taking off. Tour.
We'd be touring nothing.
It'd be the freedom from taking off tour. Yeah, that'd be about it. Yeah.
I don't know. This plane that I was flying is really powerful.
Really?
Like
Okay.
I've picked up my brother before in like a Cessna 172 from it's a 1965, and so it it's got this 0300 engine, which is not that powerful. It's extremely anemic. In fact, we joke about how anemic it is. And
Did you say 1965?
yeah,
Are they safe?
yeah.
I'm not trying to be dumb. I'm just thinking.
Yeah,
I don't know that
yeah.
I'd want to get in there and something from
Well,
1965.
planes are a little different, though.
Yeah. Airplanes every year have to go through a full teardown inspection.
I mean, my brother was born in 1963, and I wouldn't let him give me a piggyback ride. So I'm sure he wouldn't get.
If he had wings, I ain't getting on them. That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I fly those things all the time. But anyways, I picked him up in this
Okay, that's cool.
1979 Piper Dakota Turbo. And
That sounds so cool. A Piper Dakota Turbo.
yeah,
This sounds like a car out of a game or something.
it's ridiculous. So like we were taking off, and my brother, the second I let go of the brakes after winding everything up, and I started going down the runway, he was like, "Oh my gosh!" It was like he could feel it in the seat.
That's
How
pretty
much
wild.
oomph it had.
Yeah.
That thing is no slouch.
Usually when
At
I feel
all.
it in the seat, I need to get up and go to the restroom.
Yes, depending on what's going on for lunch. Uh-oh.
What it do?
What happened? Let me see.
That's okay. It just, look at
Look
there.
at that. Look at that.
All right.
hold
Everybody
on.
knows who
Hold
Dub
on.
Man is, and
We're going to
Big Money Honey.
Big Money Honey. There we go. All right.
Look at there.
Let's go into our settings and turn off.
Settings
We've
menu,
never
everybody.
done this before, ever.
No, but my wife, and now we'll say this. I bought her this iPad and she uses it, and well, I would say she turned the where the screen turns off, because I use it for music mainly when I'm doing it, so I don't want to turn it off in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay though.
Hey,
Yeah,
so,
you definitely don't want that.
So who are we sitting here with? We just kind of beat around the bush.
Well, before we get to that, we'll talk about camp meeting. We definitely went to camp meeting last
We
week.
definitely went.
Definitely went. Yeah, we were. I was absolutely exhausted at the end of the week, and
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I
I drove.
definitely feel it. Yeah.
That was a nice little drive. It's like
It was.
almost 3 hours.
I tell you what, the drive back
It
was
was
a lot
rough.
better going the way that we went through.
You should have flown.
Where we Saudi Daisy. We went back through Saudi
Okay.
Daisy.
That's
it
what we did
added
too,
about
yeah.
15 minutes to the trip, but it was so.
But you're not
much
sitting still
nicer.
though. You're
Yeah.
not sitting in traffic. I mean, I would rather drive for 15 minutes more because I'm actually driving than opposed to my nerves being wrecked because I'm sitting still.
Yeah, and that
tears
was the
me
thing.
up.
Like, it was beautiful, and there was just a lot of scenery. Is good. Even that little 15 minutes didn't feel like 15 minutes going back. So I will probably be doing that from now on.
Would you go through Spencer and Sparta?
Yeah, Sparta.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And it was just
Yep.
a lot nicer. I mean, just being real, like, it just was a lot nicer. It was no stress, no craziness or anything. And it flowed very well. And we had a really good time. Jensen
What a-
Franklin was there.
Oh man, that was
Wednesday.
really
It
cool.
great.
And- hey, and they warned us like night one. You know, Jensen Franklin's going to be here, who has a mega church in California. He's all
Yeah.
over Christian broadcasting, and they're like, first off, the presiding bishop, state of Tennessee, said, "Remember that you're Christians." 'Cause- no lie. That was like the very first, admonition was, "Remember you're a Christian."
You remember that you are a Christian, elderly lady who tried to trip me with your cane.
Oh my dude. Anyways, look,
way.
for real.
On
So here's
purpose,
here's the sitch.
And I'm
here's
gonna be
the
honest
sitch.
with you, I'm a big dude, and I almost ate it.
Look, I've got to throw out here's the sitch,
Wow.
right? I'm going to give you the 911, the
then we'll break over
411,
into
the 411 on the sitch. This
Yeah,
is what
yeah.
happens. So they tell us, and so we actually have a discussion. Okay, because they're going to have overflow rooms. We're like, okay, if we're watching this from an overflow room, how's that any different than watching it on
And
TV?
I'll stop you there just saying the place holds 1,200 to 1,250, and they were expecting 21 to 2,500. That ought to give you an example of what's really
and they
going on.
ended up with
my
2,100.
gosh.
2,100.
2,100, I think is what they said.
Yeah.
So what happens is, so we're like, okay. They tell us, first off, they tell us that morning, you cannot save seats. Because the first night we got there, man, some woman had thrown her dress across like 5 seats.
Well, and it was a weird thing too, because you're
stuff
walking in the
happens.
back of the
It's
church,
wild.
and they've got the
It's
soft
Pentecost,
chairs
I mean,
like
you
we
oughta
do.
shout it out.
AWC.
Oh, no.
And you can see the backs of the chairs, and I'm looking. I'm like, we have our choice of where we want to sit. You walk up through the center. As soon as you turn around the center, you start to turn and look, and it's just purse,
Dress.
keys, purse, coffee, purse. And as soon as you see over the back of the chairs, you realize
Yeah.
there's 4 people in the congregation right now, and every one of the other seats is a completely saved. So to find 2 seats together was almost impossible.
So legit, he told them, look, when we break and y'all go to lunch, we're coming through and pretty much sweeping the auditorium, right? If there's anything in here, you're saving a seat, we're taking it up.
They said it's gone. They said he did say that.
And so Donnie and I formulated a plan. The
like
Dub
an
Man
offering.
and Rocky G formulated a plan.
Uh-oh.
I got to his hotel at 4:00.
Yes. We're
Service started.
literally 2
Service
minutes
started
away,
at 6:45.
Yeah.
The hotel is a mile, less than a mile,
Maybe, yeah.
less than a mile from the church. 4:00. We get there at 4:05 ish. Bro, we walk in. We are number 3 and number 4.
That's an hour and 45 minutes before the door. Before the door
The
was
lights are
supposed to
still
open.
off.
Yeah.
We didn't think we could get in. And we just tried it and walked in like, okay, cool. So we got a spot. So we got us our own little table. And we were eyeing. They've got a little coffee shop. We were eyeing that coffee shop. We're like,
nice,
man, open this thing.
It was nice.
Yeah, but no, we sat there, and so to get to this crazy situation, so we end up getting. We noticed that about an hour before service, everybody started really, gathering towards the door. So
I mean, it was shoulder to shoulder.
So we got up, got in our
shoulder.
spot.
Yeah.
Which is right up front where we belong because we put in the time.
Right.
We put in the time and the effort. We didn't stay at the hotel till 5 and try to slip in. No, sir. We got there at 4:05 and yeah. Anyways, we did kind of help pastors' parents out just a
I
little.
will say we did that.
We did help them out a little.
Jesus.
Yeah, and privileges of knowing the Freedom Tour.
Yes, yes.
We told them you're special guests of the Freedom Tour.
It was privileges of the crazy morons that decided to show up 2 hours before the doors open, not 2 hours before the start, or 3 hours before the doors
We
open.
had a nice cup of coffee.
Yeah.
We had cookie.
We did, yeah.
And then this lady starts getting angry while we're still in line, saying that we had passed her. No, ma'am. You weren't even here.
No. And the bad part of it was, too,
I know
they had
this lady.
They had, yeah.
Her name's Karen.
Yes. It was Senorita Karen. Yes. Yes.
Bro, but legit. So legit,
definitely
we're
was,
walking
yeah.
in, and I mean, when they open the doors, her and her friends, I've never felt so endangered by a group of elderly females.
I can just say one sentence. They love them some Jensen Franklin. That's
They were
me.
there. They were there. I mean, they were like, Jensen,
It's me. Yeah. And the bad,
he don't know you, lady.
the bad part of it was where they
sound like Mario.
where they lined you up. The bathrooms were there.
Yeah, and they
So
kept
the
saying,
people
I need
had
to
to
go to the
weave
restroom,
to go to the
liar.
restroom to get in the restroom. And so like they were passing them and it was just absolutely awful. So essentially when they opened the back door, it was crazy to get in it. So we just went straight in.
It's like when they dropped, when God called them on the ark and there's one seat left.
Yeah, that's how it was, man. I'm not kidding. And they were knocking people over. So we go and I'm start to turn. And
So we
Yeah,
like
yeah.
lock shoulders almost. We're like,
Yeah.
look, the two of us together and our group, we're like, we're going.
they're right behind us doing this, trying to move through. And Drew's mom and my wife.
And Ashley, yeah.
That's it.
And so and Sharon and Brent.
Yeah, Sharon
Brent was
and
right there with us. I mean, and Brent's not a little guy either. So we get up there. So right when we get to our row, all of a sudden there is a big pause. This lady slings her cane under Donnie's boot.
And I had my cowboy boots on, so it caught right in front of my boot, and I was trying
And
to
he
move when
almost
she
falls.
did it, and I'm
so
trying
the
to keep from going.
Our whole procession is
The
dead
whole
in his
time
tracks.
she's got her cane over in front of me trying to trip me. She's yelling at me, going, "Excuse me, excuse me!"
And I looked at this lady and I said, "We can't move." I said, "We can't move."
I was like, "Please let this be on the live
And
stream.
then she's
Please
like-
let them go ahead and be live streaming
And then
right now
she's
because I'm about to go."
Ashley's behind us, and she's like, "She shoved me in the back."
She did. I mean, I'm serious. She accused Ashley of shoving her,
I'm like,
and I'm
"She's
like,
behind me."
so I went over there. Anyways, it was
And so
rough,
so
though.
we sit down in the row
I
behind
almost got
them.
injured. It was kind of rough.
We
yeah.
sit down in the row behind them, and this lady is looking at us like, I mean, it was like
I finally got up.
like she was not saved.
I got up, laid my suit jacket down,
gosh.
and I walked over there to her.
And Ashley's like,
Because
"Donnie, what are you doing?"
Ashley thought I was going to
Donnie?
go yell or something because I was kind of mad because I almost ate it and I was just aggravated. But I was fine. I was trying to be Christ-like. So I walked up to her and I knew she tried to trip me. Sat right there. I was the one she tried to trip. And I walked up to her and I said, "Excuse me, ma'am." I said, "I noticed you were aggravated at me." And I said, "I apologize for stepping on your cane." And I said, "I apologize." She said, "You stepped on my foot too."
Oh, really?
She did, and but you could just see I deflated her.
Was
her
that
balloon.
scripture about
Yeah.
when you pour blessing on someone that's mean to you? It just kind of like
Yeah.
But it was funny. We had a good time. Jensen Franklin was amazing. The Church of God puts on an amazing week there, and
Yes.
the ministry events. It was just awesome. Every single person that spoke that I heard that week was perfect. It was crazy how God was lining everything up. It was really good.
And I would
really.
be remiss not to mention the fact that my son Brock, who was starting the Freedom Tour with us, is now an ordained minister in the Church of God. He went through MIP. They did their official walk on Wednesday, along with my daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
Miss Chelsea, and we'll talk about her probably here in a little bit because I do have a unique. Me and the fellow across from him haven't introduced him yet. We share a unique bond.
Yeah, let's do that right now.
We became in-laws. We became father-in-laws at the exact same moment on the exact same day.
There you go.
It's craziness.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
How did that happen? How does that happen?
This man across from me in the
I have some ideas.
in the dirty this man across from me in the dirty UT shirt over there.
That is clean.
Here we
It's,
go. Here we go.
What you
I
talking
won't
about, man?
mess-
That
I won't
shirt
say anything
looked
else.
crisp.
I won't say anything else. So it's mentally dirty. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
It's
That's all right.
emotionally dirty.
He's dressed nicer than anybody
It's
in here.
yeah, he is definitely.
So the rest of us look like we just came from a Jiffy Lube.
Actually, we just came from Chili's.
Did y'all go to Chili's?
No cheesesteak.
We did.
No cheesesteak. No
Well, I came from the El Mazatlan in Bowling Green.
Did they pay for that advertisement?
You know
Chili's,
what?
they need to.
Yeah.
Much we advertise for them, but
grief.
so we're gonna call him Scott the Machine Davis. I have
boy.
known him for years and years and years on top of years. He has been just. It's like almost like we have the same blood running through our veins. He's always been, we have been super close. He's just like a brother to me. And he is exactly that. He's a machine. He's a machine as a friend. He's a machine as a godly man. As the executive pastor at our church. And obviously he would not for 1 second give himself any type of glory or anything. It's all about Jesus.
Yes.
But saying that, he is a machine. And God has definitely used him to build ministry and to keep ministry tight and keep things running smooth. He's greasing the bearings all the time with everything that goes on within the church. And
Yo, greasy.
he's a good dude. And also, like we were saying, Brock, his son-in-law, and Chelsea, his daughter, are also ordained ministers within the Church of God, and they're youth leaders at the church. His son Samuel is the media pastor at the church. I mean, his whole family is just intertwined in ministry.
He's credentialed as well.
Yeah, he is definitely.
Yeah, they got their credentials together last year, and then Brock and Chelsea went through the MIP program together this year.
Yeah.
So you attend Ministry Center. Kind of give us a rundown of what you do week to week, and kind of how Scott's the machine's mind works during ministry during the week.
It could be very technical, because whatever I tell you, I have to kill you.
Oh no, machine! We should have picked Scott. We should have said Scott, the cuddly little puppy.
All eyes were on Scott. All eyes were on Scott Sunday when those air conditioning lines froze up.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were.
It's all right, especially us up under the lights and everything. We were like, "Where's the machine? Where's the machine?"
Yes, yeah, they were down.
So
But
what
it's been fixed.
do you do week from week?
Well, currently I'm just the associate pastor.
Don't say just ever
Yeah,
with that,
that's
because
it.
I know what you do. I can see the trails, the rubber burn on the floor with those cowboy boots or whatever you're wearing for the week.
He keeps the road clear for the pastor.
Yes, absolutely does.
Drew
It's very
Easton and I,
important.
the lead pastor, him and I, we work really, really well together.
Yes.
And he just gives a lot of freedom. He is actually the minds and the brains and the heart and the drive and the leading. And I just try to take the vision that he's got and just try to live it out for him. His vision is to teach the word. I basically just run just the church itself. I just try to make sure that the doors stay open and everybody's safe and has a good time, finds the Lord, and I guess jump on the grenade before it goes off,
And you do a very good job of it, because and it's funny because old DePlane over here, me and Eddie go way, 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 way back too. And some of the first instances of us getting to know you were with me and Eddie actually playing for you when you
Many
were
years ago.
Yeah, when you were a youth leader at another really large church, had a huge youth group, and we were able to come in and do some music for you. And it's funny how our lives have intertwined all through there. And like my older son was born across the hall at the exact same time, same hospital, same day, everything.
As my
from
daughter.
his daughter. And it's funny, I look back on it to see at that time we didn't know each other, but it's funny how we were that close to each other then, and how
25 years ago.
Yeah. And God brought us together and to kind of do what we're doing now. And I've been with you in and out of ministry for a very long time now.
Yeah, it's you and I have always had a unique relationship, and just whenever you think things are going different directions, it's funny how God still says, no, these two guys are going to
Yep.
stay together, you know, when
Reels
we
us
work
right back
well.
in.
Yeah,
Yep.
it has. So it is pretty cool.
So obviously, this is what you're the. A lot of people call them associate pastors or executive pastors.
pastor. Yeah,
at
either
the
way.
church, definitely. And I like executive pastor. I think you do an executive pastor position too, because I guess there's a little. I don't know. There's a little bit.
That
of difference
sounds like
if
you get a bigger
schematic.
desk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
And a
It
corner
does.
office.
Yeah, because I
With a
don't
window.
wear a tie. I don't do any of that,
No.
whatsoever. But you know, Angie, my wife, we do so much together. You know, we're about to celebrate our 30th year wedding anniversary.
That's incredible.
In August, yes.
Yeah, that's
And-
awesome.
And we've done ministry together the whole time. And so pretty much basically wherever you see me, you see her. She's committed to it as well.
She's a mess.
Oh my God.
My wife loves her to death. She's a mess. They're two peas in a pod when they're
Oh,
together,
man.
definitely. So
You better bring your A game if you're going to get
That's what I
something
was
on
gonna
her. I promise you.
there, she's trouble for sure.
Yes, she is.
Angie, I'm calling you out. You're trouble.
Yeah, you've been called out.
Keep that radius around everything. You know, stay away from Angie. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding with you. But you know, I know this is what you do now. Go back in time, and have you always grown up in church?
Actually, no. I had great parents. Loved them to death, but you know, they were Easter and Christmas going folks. You
Kind
know,
of cultural. Yeah.
and you know, they were raised in godly homes, you know, and stuff. But that was just the typical thing there. And of course, in 1983, I guess is actually say that's when I first found the Lord. 11 years old. Do the math, right? You know when I'm born. And
I was 4.
yeah, and you know, it's crazy. It was one of those, you know, back in those days, there was hellfire brimstone messages, and you know what got scared out of me, you know. So
Oh, yeah.
and but it really didn't sink in. God didn't really get me focused until about 1989.
Is that
That's
when
when-
you got saved?
That's when there was a young man in school. We went to high school together. He was actually a grade above me, and he stayed after me and after me and after me. And I didn't know the Lord at the time. I had accepted him, but I didn't ever lived for him. I didn't really know what that meant. You know, I had no discipleship whatsoever in going through that process. And I think I got tired of him asking, so I just went. And it was the summer of 1989. Sounds like it could be a song, right? And
It really does.
Well, what did Brian Adams do? Summer of
Playing over here, and he's
Yeah.
like, summer of '89.
Summer of '69 was Brian Adams.
Got to be rock.
Now, if Daniel was here, I was born in 1987. He said that 84 times the last time we recorded.
wow.
I was born in 1987. Bro, you can still look, just because you're born in 87 doesn't mean you can't reference or see or read anything from, you know,
Right.
before your birth date.
Right.
Daniel has wisdom beyond measure. He's a good dude.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But you know, but I got called in the ministry. I was still in high school in 1990, and it's been that way ever since. Just sold out. So 1990, yeah, that's when I found I had a call into ministry, and I really didn't know what that meant either. You know, I didn't know what that meant to work with kids or have any interest in it whatsoever. You know, so
And you sure had no idea what price you would have to pay at that point.
no, yeah, nothing ever new. You don't know anything about that. What that means.
I remember when I was 17 years old, so still in high school, and I was appointed assistant youth leader and assistant praise and worship leader at my church. Not a very big church, about 80 people. 2 years later, when I was 19, between my freshman and sophomore year of college, I was appointed head of the youth ministry and head of the music ministry. And that's a lot for a 19-year-old to take on. And my mom said something to me that I've never forgotten. She said, "Are you sure that you're ready for this?" And I thought, I've been the assistant for 2 years. I'm 19. I've got brother, you have no idea until you're actually doing it. The attacks of the enemy, if we're being real, the enemy's going to come at you both barrels, guns blazing when you're in ministry.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready, you're going to get whipped.
And I'll be honest with you. Some of the, and this is not a stab, and I don't mean where I'm at now. Where I'm at now is actually not bad. But some of the places I've been in ministry, some of the worst people I've had to deal with were church leaders and church people that were in leadership, and people that were in authority and church members, some of the worst times I've had and the most stress and the most wanting to absolutely go step out in traffic has been because of somebody who,
or if
who
you were going to step out in traffic, you're going to help them in
yeah,
traffic.
has imaginary, has the name over their head of being a
Sister John,
a Christian.
Be careful, Sister John. That car's real close.
Being a disciple of Christ or being a Christian, and it's just it can be really difficult. I know a lot of people like what we deal with daily with everybody, and a lot of people they're not necessarily, they don't have bad motives, they don't have bad intentions, but they just need to grow up spiritually a little bit, and that's what we're all doing every single day. So it's hard. You got to get in that mindset. And we spoke about this, and we got to get in that mindset where it's like, I'm not dealing with them, I'm dealing with what's inside of them, or I'm just dealing with things that they've dealt with in their past, or I'm just dealing with things, and you have to be forgiving, because Jesus never gave up on any of us the first time we messed up, or the first time we made somebody mad, or
the
anything.
10th time we messed up, or the 15th,
the 489th time.
Right. Well,
almost at that 70 times 7.
Yeah. Well, the one thing about being a pastor is that you get used to living into a glass house.
That's it. Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't matter what position that you're got. It's not whether you're a lead pastor or a music minister or associate pastor, teacher. Ministry is just living in a glass house, and that's what you once you get used to that it does help. But it's two things that I've noticed in that. There's the two most miserable people in the world are this: the one that's doing the ministry that's not called, and the one that's called and not doing the ministry.
Yeah.
Those are the two most miserable people, because if you're not called, there's no way that you're going to be able to teach or preach or, whatever it may be, So, I don't preach on a weekly basis. I don't need to do that. My taste of ministry where I'm at in my life today is I like investing into students. I like to invest in my own kids, obviously, but, even in yourself and you guys, I enjoy helping you get to it. And then I like to go to the back wall and just stand and just watch and see what God does in your life, because it's not about a person. It's not about a position or anything whatsoever. It's just about watching Jesus work, and it's about winning souls. And the boils down to it. That's all I really care about is that, I don't get wrapped up. You have the lady that's upset because you stole her seat. And, that stuff doesn't bother me. I let it just roll off. And where I get upset is that when I start seeing people interrupting service and I'm realizing, someone's going to miss Jesus because, well, we're going to get a penny.
Somebody's doing something crazy.
So.
I got you on it though. And I guess it's that mindset too. It does, when you can go, it's not about me.
Right.
It makes things a lot easier mentally and emotionally and spiritually and everything else, because it's not about us.
Right.
And everything that you do allows you to be transparent, and it allows you to be vulnerable, and it allows you to do all this stuff because you're not pointing anybody towards you. You're pointing everybody towards him. So
That's right.
it just rearranges your mindsets in the whole package of everything.
Right.
And it doesn't necessarily make it easy, but you have a purpose, and it's a solid purpose, and it's the purpose, and that's where you can go. And you're not having to rely on yourself, is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, there's no accolades. There's no what I do. There's no pats on the back. There's no affirmation about whatsoever, and as long as you're not looking for that, you'll be successful with it. But there's a lot of people that they look for that. They have to have that constant, hey, I'm proud of you type of moment, and that day's going to come when I step in heaven. That's all that matters.
That's it.
That's it.
And we work with people all the time that are self-centered or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And it just, it does make it difficult to a point, especially when you're passionate about things. Like you're passionate about what you do in ministry, or we're passionate about in worship and things like that. When you see somebody involved with something that is really just a, hey, look at me moment, and it's just, you're not getting anywhere with that.
Right. No,
we've said it 1,000 times. If it was a, hey, look at me moment, I definitely, if I was really doing it for me and not for Jesus, I can go anywhere I want to go and do that.
And that's the thing too, growing up in church, a little bit different. I was in church just about my entire life, and I saw people in ministry, and you see these people on stage, and you want to aspire to that, right? Because you think, oh my goodness, that's where you want to be, not realizing the cost of being there.
Yeah.
If you're doing it for the right reason, there's, the anointing, the ministry, it comes at a cost. And and a lot of times you don't recognize that until you get in. And so there's a lot of people that sit out there, and you know this. Oh man, if I could just be the guy up there playing the guitar, or if I could just be the guy up there singing, or if I could just be the guy up there preaching, if I could be the one, and you think that's what you want, but you better check yourself and make sure that you're spiritually ready for that, because it carries a lot of weight.
And also,
and you are, it's a it's a responsibility, because you're standing up in front of upwards of 450 to 500 people every week.
Right.
And you've got to be able to be vulnerable in a way that you're not inauthentic, but then you've also got to put that stuff aside so you can still lead them into the presence of God and let them see something better, because only God knows what they're going through.
And I'll say this, and I'm not uplifting you when I say this, but I've known you a very long time, and you're very genuine. And everybody at sitting here, I mean, we're not doing this. I'm not getting paid to even do this right here. We really do this to have fun.
You don't get paid?
To promote the community, promote Jesus, promote where we're at, and really just have an outlet for somebody to listen and say, hey, those guys are just like me. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of worship leaders that would not do what he does.
Right.
He runs 2 campuses. Now, a lot of guys, I've been in music, a lot of musicians you deal with, they like themselves a lot.
I don't.
And so, knowing him, and like I said, this is not you. I know it's through Jesus, but knowing him as being one of the most talented musicians that I know, and he literally sits in the background. He is the worship pastor at 2 whole solid campuses, and rarely
is the man up front.
Is the man up front,
I
which
don't wanna
everybody
be the
loves
man up
being.
front.
Yeah, and that's it. And a lot of guys could not do that.
I don't
I'm
want
the worship
to.
pastor, but what?
Well,
You want me to what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's a hard job to do for a lot of people.
This
but for
week
him,
actually is going to be
works it.
great, because I'm running sound tomorrow, and I don't have to be seen by anybody. I get to be in the box where the inclusive people like to go.
Well, and you know what?
Him and a bag of cheese.
It's my favorite place to go.
But here's what it boils down to for me, right? Yeah. Are you chasing titles and positions, or are you chasing the anointing and the favor of God?
Yeah.
Only you know that.
Right.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, only you know that. And at the end of the day, truly at the end of the day, everybody will end up knowing that, because God's favor and God's anointing is going to override any position, any title, anything that you think you're chasing. If you're chasing the wrong thing, you said something a long time ago, check your motives.
Yeah, that's it. I'm big on motives. That's a family thing. In my family, it's motives. Yeah. And it really allows you to steer where you need to go. Because if you can look at somebody and go, they're doing this, but their motives aren't bad. They're doing this because of the way they've been raised, and church hurt and emotional issues. Not that doesn't give you a free reign to do whatever you want to do.
Right.
But if you can look at them and go like,
it opens
what's
up your
inside of
understanding.
them, and you're not wrestling with them. It allows you to back off. And you ever seen Waterboy, where he's looking across the field, and the coach, who he's scared half to death of, turns into the little puppy, and he's like, goody, goody, goody. That's what you got to do. You're going, okay, this is not. They're not the mean people that maybe everybody thinks they are. They're just human.
Right.
And they need Jesus' love and forgiveness just like anybody else. And sometimes you have to go.
Even if they stick their cane under your boot.
Even stick the cane under your boot. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
One of my favorite examples of this is that the one time there's a couple of times I've sang. I only sing when I have to. I still loathe it. Because I'm terrible at remembering lyrics. I've had lyrical snafus before that are just dynamite. Let me just tell you,
it happens to all of us. Don't worry.
Yeah,
that's when you start writing your own on the spot.
Right.
Yeah.
Just make sure it rhymes. If it rhymes, nobody ever knows the difference.
In my case, I just hope somebody misunderstood the syllabalization I did, because I've done dumb things like, instead of like saying like your word will come to pass, for some reason every time I sing that song, Do It Again, I sing your world will come to pass. And it sounds like super sci-fi, and it's just terrible. But yeah, it's in my case, what I was going to say to this that is one of the greatest examples is when I have sang. I have this just phenomenal vocalist. Like, it's clearly his anointing, clearly his calling, and that's why I love it when he does it, because it's what he moves in and it's what he operates in. But I always laugh. My team and I always laugh about it, because I'll get done singing, and there'll be these little old ladies that walk up to me, and they just have this big grin on their face, and they'll go, where's Jordan? They'll ask where the other person is.
But you don't have a bad voice at all.
But it doesn't
Yeah, it's not
bother
your
me.
thing.
I
I
can
got
see
you.
where a lot of people, if they're doing it for themselves, would be bothered by that. For me, it was all I could do to not just bust out laughing at that. I hold on to those moments because to me they're just hilarious.
Yeah,
Right.
I would do the same thing. Yeah.
But in general, me being, I agree with you. Like it really does have to be a calling thing and not something that you just seek out. For me, this is the only thing I've ever done in my entire life that like God put before me. That if you'd, I mean, Donnie, you've heard me say this before with people where they've been like, oh man, you could be like a worship pastor or something like that, and I'm like, no, I want to play guitar in the shadow spot of the stage where no one sees you. Like that's
that's
the
where-
home for me.
And that's where your heart's at. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
said.
I want to be in the shadow. I've told people before, if I could go in my church and we got like this little area where we all go right before we come on the stage, if I could just put my stuff together there and just stay right there and be heard but not seen, I'd be as happy as could be. But it was like I got offered the possibility of being a worship pastor. And I only didn't say no immediately because the guy who was the worship pastor asked me, and I had a lot of tremendous value for him. And I'm like, well, he wouldn't just ask me that. I was like, I don't know. I'll go pray about it. But in my mind, I was like, I'm not doing this. And when I started praying about it, God was like, yeah, I have called you to this. And that's the reason I let you go through all the crap you went through is because I wanted you to see how to not do it.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it.
Learning what not to do.
That's it.
You know, we can be good at a lot of things, but God only wants you to be great at one thing.
Yeah.
And that's the process of ministry is learning what the calling is. The calling is the greatness, but it's Jesus not making you great. It's not about being great at it. It's obviously Jesus gets all the honor and praise for everything.
Yeah.
You know, but we can be busy doing everything, you know, but God only says to be great at one thing. And that's what you've got to figure out. You know, you can't have your hands on everything, doing everything at the same time.
Yeah, and that same thing with you, and it's the same thing. One thing I've always loved about you, the machine, but it really is because you just love people, and you're true, and there's nothing fake about you, and you could absolutely care less whether you were, which by the way, he is a bishop in the Church of God, which is extremely difficult to work into. And I know we're not all about, hey, let's look at our denominations and things like that, but it's something that he worked for and
It's an honor. It's an honor.
It's an honor. Yes.
Yeah.
And you're just real. You know what I mean? You don't care about the title of you don't walk around telling somebody, well, hey, I'm a bishop, or well, hey, I'm a bishop and so I'm this. I mean, it's really just when you walk in the door, you're finding every single thing that you can do in that place to love people and to keep free from distractions and to not let the enemy in and keep everything running fluid and to disciple people.
Right.
And there's 100,000 different ways to disciple people. You know what I mean? So, and to get them involved. And that's what you do, and I love about it.
And he's told us personally, you know, if there's something going on, my door is open all the time.
Yes.
Right.
Don't sit on it. Don't let it fester. If you need me, find me and let's get to it.
Right now. Right.
Yeah, and there's something also about knowing that you have somebody like that.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure it makes Pastor Drew feel a lot better. He's not by himself. He has somebody that's competent, somebody that uses godly wisdom and listens to the Holy Spirit to be in that position and is not flying off the handle or constantly having issues or not able to decipher motives and where people want to love people. So it's a big weight to know. I know when I have you in my corner for anything, I mean, that's it. I feel like solid. I feel like I'm sitting on a concrete slab or something like that it's not moving. You know what I'm saying? And and that's one of the things that I do love about you. And you're just like, you're absolutely like a brother to me. Like if we were to check that we had blood running through the same veins. I told Ashley,
You've got an Alabama keychain. He does not want to have y'all's blood mixed.
I promise you.
He don't want the contamination.
I can tell you this, people out there in Freedom Tour land. Last night I was laying on my couch and I was talking to Ashley. I said, there's never been one time that I've ever walked away mad at Scott. I've never been aggravated at Scott because I trust Scott. And I told her flat out, I literally looked at her and pointed at her in the living room, and I said, I would absolutely, at any point in time, give my life without question
Wow.
for Scott Davis.
I
And we
appreciate
were
that.
having a full-blown conversation. Sorry, I'm not going to all of it. But and I said, I would
Right.
absolutely give my life for Scott Davis. That's how much we love you and how much you mean to us and how special you are, not only to us, but to everybody that's around us.
Well,
So
you know,
it's very-
that's feelings mutual.
yes, sir.
But, you know, you said something about Alabama, and I can recall making a trip to Panama City, Florida, and coming back, and I had a Donnie moment. I was like, you know what? I need to pick him something up. And I grabbed and I touched and picked up an Alabama football for
I still
him.
got it. I still got it.
And I didn't wash my hands afterwards, you know, so it was all right.
Well,
It
there was an evangelist that I was. There was an evangelist that I was doing praise and worship for, and you may know him because he worked a lot with Eddie James. His name was Kevin White.
Yeah.
And he was in the Church of God for a while, and he, independent. But huge Alabama fan, lives in Alabama, and he was actually holding a revival at the church, and I was a music minister when Tennessee and Alabama played. And it was during that stretch where Tennessee didn't beat Alabama very often.
Yeah.
And I may or may not have had to wear an Alabama Crimson Tide T-shirt and play drums one night during revival.
I need a picture.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. I'm smiling.
And it was, I don't even know how I was able to function.
It's okay. I promise.
Because I just thought that was like automatic 100 points from your IQ.
Everybody probably just thought
Your
better
teeth
about
fall,
you.
all your teeth fall out, but one, you start feeling really weird feelings toward family members that you've never felt before. I did.
But Donnie, I do appreciate the kind words, man.
Yes,
I love you, brother.
It's absolute
Good.
truth. Yeah. Well, we're going to get into the part of the program, the fun stuff here. Everybody that comes and hangs with us on the Freedom Tour podcast gets a chance to answer 3 questions. They're all just off top of our head questions for them, but we know what they are.
Hold on a minute.
Are they
Do we
PG?
need
They
to
are
escort
PG.
our next guest from the building?
No, we can leave. We can leave
okay.
him there. He'll be
Are they
good.
Stick your fingers in
PG
yours.
rated?
We have a studio
No,
audience. Full disclosure, we have a studio audience behind that camera. And
Yes.
I'm not lying.
Yes.
Maybe an audience of 1, but there's a studio audience.
It's about like back when we used to play shows. Thank you, Bobby.
So we try not to.
Like I had Daniel tore up the other night. No, it was Eric. No, it was either Daniel or Eric. I said something about the CDs. I said, yeah, the last one I had went styrofoam.
Yeah, that's it. That's right.
And Daniel, I think it was Daniel. He said, it's working towards plastic. I said, you've got it.
There you go.
So we got 3 questions. 2 of the questions we try, and it's not obviously. We always want to keep everything on the real here, but these questions, they're fun questions.
Okay.
We try to shy away from the super spiritual answers and have fun with the answers.
Okay.
They're unlimited answers. You do whatever
They
you
don't
want
have to be
do.
a proper answer.
No,
Everything
no
doesn't have to be like,
proper. No.
Jesus, because
Right.
everything is about Jesus,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But these answers are where you shy away from, what, if I could just do anything, what
Yeah.
would be my...
So the first question, I'm going to go ahead and ask the first question here. If you were not doing what you were doing now, what would you be doing? And I'm saying this like you have unlimited money. You can do whatever, snap your fingers, do whatever you want.
Unlimited
right
resources,
now, as-
education possibilities, it
anything
doesn't
you want to
matter.
do. Yes, yes. What
No
if
talent
you
limitations.
weren't doing what you were doing now, what does the machine want? What would the machine want to be doing?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know how to answer that because I can't
This is
sit.
why we do this.
I can't sit still for nothing. Because I've had my hands in so much. I can remember one year I had like 9 W-2s.
Are you serious?
Yeah, trying to figure out what I wanted to do with life because ministry
I know
was
what
it.
you're going to say. Don't say it. It's
Not-
not about you.
No, I got you.
I had a
You
good
know,
friend of mine that had over 20 W-2s in one year, and it wasn't because he couldn't figure out what he wanted to do, and it wasn't because he was hyper-focused and wanted to do a bunch of things.
Right.
Everybody
It's because
wanted
he
him
didn't want to do nothing.
Yeah,
Well, basically,
yeah.
mine
they wanted
was
him
just-
to not do things.
That's it. Well, ministry was my whole thing. That was it. I was sold out for that, and so I was just trying to find a way to
I got you.
pay for my habit.
Yeah.
So
So
that's,
if you had to pick something, and let's say you don't have to include.
Would you be
Jesus in the equation,
a
yeah.
yacht captain?
Would you be a mud wrestler or
Mud wrestler.
I don't know? Would you wrestle alligators or would you? hunt feral cats in Australia, or what? would
Manage a midget wrestling champion.
Yes.
Did y'all like wait up all like last night trying to think of some of the coolest things in the world that would actually be kind of fun? Like, that actually be kind of cool.
No, we're just flying from the seat of our
Yeah,
pants.
yeah.
That's what we usually do.
So what do you think? What do you think? Anything? And you can be spiritual if you want to. We just try to shy away from the super stuff. So.
Honestly, the way my brain works, man, it's just
You're a different breed. Yeah.
I am. What I'm doing is it.
Gotcha.
I mean that sincerely. I can't picture myself wanting, desiring, or even thinking. Nothing else comes to my mind at all about.
You would
doing
probably
anything
doing
else.
the same thing you're doing now with just like the most amazing truck ever, right?
I do like my truck, no man.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Like,
I could see him being like John Dutton in Yellowstone.
Yeah, I can. See
I really
that.
could.
Ministry Center, Dutton. Yeah.
Ministry Center.
Doing like
Yeah.
a ranch type of deal. I mean, he'd have his hands in all facets of the ranch. I could see.
Yeah.
Well, that's the truth. I can't get it. I mean, like I said, you're a different breed. I'm not holding that against you at all.
Yeah, I don't mean it to be super spiritual, but there's just there's
Yeah,
nothing
and
else.
that's fine.
Now this-
we get caught up in that sometimes because honestly, because our heart's the way we are, sometimes you just can't.
Well, I am bivocational in what I do as well,
Yeah.
so I have a job outside of the ministry, so I guess I could say just if I could do this, it'd be doing that every day, living ministry, pastoring every day.
Yeah.
I think that would be the ultimate dream for me to do, and there not to be no financial issues and at the same time. I think
we
that
got
would be
Being able to financially sustain it. I got you.
Go ahead and roll with question
Okay.
two.
So
All right,
question number two, and this one is the one that we do. I almost said allow, like we don't allow people to. Anyway,
We allow you to. Think
we
of
allow
Jesus.
you to. Yeah, thank
Yes.
you. Yeah. Anyways, what would you tell your 15-year-old self?
discernment.
There you go. That was crazy. That was quick.
Discernment.
Sermon.
There you go.
That's it.
You had that on your right on your wrist, right there in your hand, like
I
a Spider-Man
guess
web shooter.
that was quick. The reason why is because
Discernment.
I don't know. Maybe that's just the way my brain is right now, but that's the first thing that comes to mind because
If you go back and talk to your 15-year-old self, you were talking about discernment.
discernment.
I got that.
Understanding that knowing the difference of what is right and what looks right. Just because it looks real doesn't mean it's real.
Right.
And just because it looks fake doesn't mean it is fake.
Right.
So
Trying the spirits, weighing it out.
That's it. But that's just in life being a man.
It is.
It's just making discernment between choosing a spouse, choosing a discernment to be what you want to do in life.
Vocation, everything.
Everything, literally, is discernment and not making hasty and quick decisions.
You do not get to see our Freedom Tour time machine.
Oh,
Yes.
So I'll describe it to you. Picture Santa Claus's sleigh with a giant peppermint on the back that's the size of a
nice.
Bigfoot tire.
Is that the prop?
No,
It's got a sweet tea dispenser and a reverse button.
it's almost like something you'd see at a bingo lounge. It just goes around and then stops. At
Does it got like
B-
a fast
B8.
Twizzler thing in your mouth? You can just eat Twizzlers the whole
You
time.
just mount it.
Right, yeah. So on this, if you could hop on the Freedom Tour time machine and go back to any point in history in the world that you would want to, I mean, obviously we'd all choose to go back to when Jesus was around, but other than that,
And swing by and catch Elvis.
where would it? There's the reference.
Has
Right.
to.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. I knew it was going to pop up at some point. Where would you go back to, and why would you go back to it?
Any time in history.
Anytime.
Anytime in history.
You can come back whenever you,
You can
want
ride a T-Rex. I mean, you can
to. Yeah.
Wow.
dance with, the Pharaoh. I mean, whatever you want to do.
You can go back tango with Dolly Parton. I mean, whatever you want to do. Yeah.
Hop in the ring of Balboa.
Wow.
Doesn't matter.
This one's not on the wrist. This was not quick.
No, it's all good though.
This is a thought provoker.
It is.
Everybody does what you're doing right now, so don't feel bad.
Oh, okay. Well, good. I'm glad I'm falling right in.
Only one person like, I do this. Okay, but yeah, it's usually
What did Cannon was like? I would go and no, Cannon. My son was like, hey, you asked him about the first question. What would you be doing? He's like,
sit on the couch.
Be sitting on the couch with the dog. That was literally, and he was very truthful. So we
that's
didn't even
probably
argue
right.
with him. Yeah.
That
What do you
was it.
think?
Any time in history for anything.
Anytime, yeah.
Any event, any time period,
Somewhere you just love to step off, go walk around for a little bit, hang out,
and then come back.
get something to eat, come back.
Gotcha. I think it'd be actually pretty cool here. I guess it'd be a spiritual thing when my brain works, but I think it'd be cool to be there when David threw the rock
Oh, there
you go.
That
would actually be pretty cool. Yeah.
Watching Goliath fall, I think that would just be like, bam.
Have you seen the video going around of that actual kind of slingshot?
Yes.
It's
Isn't
wild.
that crazy?
It's not what you think.
No, it's not. No, it's not. And how they twist it and turn it and sling it, I'm going, yeah, I'd throw it at myself.
Yeah.
Knock myself
crazy.
out.
That's good.
I don't know. That's the only thing quick that came to mind.
I'm terrible at
that's
sports.
fine.
I'd have wrapped my leg with it and thrown myself.
And there's
I've got no athletic ability at all.
Then there's that.
yeah,
But you know what? At least you know who you are and what you're about.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
So you're not going to put yourself in any situation.
That's 100%. I'm that guy that if somebody preaches a sermon about a Super Bowl, I get myself a buddy that is basically the equivalent of a translator for me.
okay.
Because I don't know what they're talking about.
that's for-
They'll say something, I'll be like, can you translate that for me?
And at the church softball league, hey, do we need a pinch hitter? Not me. No. You want to win, you want to lose.
We want to take a second to acknowledge, just like we do every week, we want to acknowledge our sponsors here at the Freedom Tour podcast. Our first sponsor is Big Rig from Riggins
Big
Construction.
Rig.
The absolute A1 number one person to get your custom home built. The wife wants
cool
something
house.
a little different. You want something that's
Isn't that
solid.
nice?
It's going to
Yes.
last a lifetime, not be shifting and creaking in different angles that aren't supposed to be. No leaks, no issues. Then it'll back up his building. And that is Big Rig with Riggins Construction. Check him out at RigginsConstructionTN.com. RigginsConstructionTN.com for all your custom home needs. Next, we've got Blackbeard Barbershop, 300 North Maple Street here in Lebanon, Tennessee. Local. Second floor of the mill, the only place we'll get our hair cut. We all
Isn't that
look
Richie?
every single day. We get a lot of compliments.
Isn't that Richie?
Which one is it? Him?
Did they say his name was
Is it
Richie?
Yeah, he's an
Yeah.
awesome dude. I got to go over there. I will say this. I have been all
His
about...
chin sits right on the top of that microphone. I really think he's...
Oh,
He just keeps...
I've
staring
been
at
saying
me.
I want to go get a pedicure, but I don't want to go to one of these little places around here. And they do therapeutic pedicures. Pedicures aren't just about getting your nails
My wife
painted
took me to
and
get
things
one
like
of those.
that. But
Right.
it's really
not
for
bad.
health. He's really big on the therapeutic aspect of it, and for health reasons. If you're diabetic, if you got anything going on, or you just want to take care of your feet are very important to you. You got to keep them for a while. Want to keep sure everything's running.
You got to keep him for a while.
Yeah, you got to keep them for a while.
Not all the time, just for a
you
little while.
You can't
You don't
return
want to
them.
lose your big toe.
No, no, you do not want to lose your big toe.
Victoria, she
But-
cuts my hair. She
Yeah,
does a good
definitely.
job.
And she actually cuts Ashley's hair now. She does Ashley's, yeah.
Victoria's
and
good.
I don't have any hair.
You have a beard though. Go to black and gray beard.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm blonde and gray, or red and gray, or whatever you want to call it. But fire us off on the next one. We've got something special tonight.
Nice.
All right, we have something very, very special tonight. We've got a brand new sponsor, local business.
Yes.
They're the people you see every day within your community, the people that you walk with and talk with daily, especially in these smaller communities. And our new sponsor is Split Bean Coffee Company, Split Bean Roasting Company.
That's a dangerous looking dude
That's
right
a
there.
dangerous looking dude right there.
I wonder if he,
you out.
did he
I
post
have
for
no
that?
issues with going to some of these big box places. Not a problem. But I tell you what, I had a cup the other day from his place, and I could feel the caffeine coursing through my veins. And it's fresh. And
Is that Harley?
no.
The guy that was on our podcast a couple
No,
weeks
not
ago?
yet. No, it's not. But he, I will say that, you can't ever tell with some of these other places how long the coffee's been sitting, what's going on in the coffee. You ever notice you get heartburn? You ever notice you get other issues going on? It may not be anything wrong with it, but it may be, there's something about fresh coffee. That
And
coffee
local
we got
coffee.
from Murfreesboro was very, very good.
Yeah,
That
but you and I have been there
I have
many
been there
times
many
and had
times,
many
yes.
conversations at Split Bean.
It's such a cool atmosphere. You walk in and it's just cool. You just feel at home. They have great coffee, great breakfast. I had some of their chicken salad again the other day, and it's
My wife
absolutely
loves their
amazing.
fresh fruit
Yeah,
options.
she did. She was wearing it out. That chicken salad was really good. I mean, I looked at it. I was like, oh, it's chicken salad. But then I ate it. I was like, it's really good chicken salad. So, but we want to definitely support Split Bean. They are a new sponsor for the show, and we are
New location, or fairly new.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. New location, 1050 Hamilton Station Boulevard, Suite 103. As you turn off of 70, there's that building on the right, brick building. You can't miss them. They're in there. They're open Tuesday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. But yeah, definitely check out Split Bean. Support them. If we support somebody within our community, there's a reason for that. And they support us also, and it continues every day. Definitely go check them out. All right, guys. So The Machine, we want to tell you thank you so much, Scott, for coming out. The opportunity. It's been great getting to hang out with you. We ran a little bit over longer than we normally do, but I tell you what, it was well worth it.
That's it.
And,
Miss Kenny tonight.
Yeah, and I think it's because that's another thing I was going to say is y'all keep Kenny in your prayers. He's having some issues. He could not make it tonight. He's having some foot issues and things like that, so he couldn't make it. He was in a lot of pain, but he's a trooper, man.
You told me it was mental issues.
No, that's not what we're supposed to say. Sorry.
Mental issue of the foot.
I'm joking.
Kenny's currently in a padded room with a cup of Split Bean, and I'm just playing with you.
Getting a pedicure from Richie, and
debating on having a new outhouse built with Riggins.
Yep.
Tie it
all together. So
there you go.
But we just want to
listen to Elvis.
We want to tell you thank you for coming out. I know
you.
Kenny wasn't here now. He really was excited about it. He was really down to not be able to be here. So let's kick it out, guys. Let's kick it out.
Hit that music. Hit that outro.
All right. Again, we want to thank everybody for listening to our program week in and week out. You can check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/@freedomtourpodcast. Every Tuesday morning, we've got new episodes coming out. You can also check us out on all the different platforms: TikTok, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Check us out. Share, like, follow, comment, subscribe, tell everyone about us, and so they'll get to enjoy hanging out with us and laughing and having a good time. I want to thank y'all again for watching tonight, and we will see you very, very soon. Thank you for being on the Freedom Tour podcast.
We may be wrong, but we don't think so.
Cheese stick!